He loves scenes where his bare ass is showing. He doesn't mind taking a 2-story dump flat on his back, even on take 5. He made a movie in his garage of the apartment he was living in, and it took a year to shoot. And he was blinded by the flower. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Doug Wall, Lee Bridges, Garrick Lane, and special guest Clint Hummel. Tales from the Video Store is now. This episode of Tales from the Video Store is brought to you by Table Rock Creative. Unique video for your business. And The Spot Toys. Collectible toys, games, and more. If you can't find it, they will. The Spot Toys NC at Facebook. Be sure to give us a recommendation on Facebook. Subscribe to us on Google Play, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. And we are now also on SoundCloud. Welcome to Tales from the Video Store, and we are back and we are live on Facebook today. We've got a special show. We're calling my friend Clint, who was in the movie that we did this week called The Big Kill. I went to Los Angeles with him, and he was actually, what's great is this guy was in my first student film.
How did you meet him?
We actually worked together at the Olive Garden.
In L.A.?
In Los Angeles.
Okay.
That's correct. And we became friends, and I needed a guy that looks just like Clint to be in the Soldier's Battle, my junior year film. And so I cast him, and we were friends. And then now he's starring in big movies with Jason Patric and Lou Diamond Phillips, and I'm doing podcasts with you two creeps.
So without Never-Ending Breadsticks, this would not have happened.
Yeah, that's correct. Without Never-Ending Breadsticks. So speaking of Never-Ending Breadsticks, let's call him. Let's give him a call right fast. He is standing by to answer our questions. Or maybe he's not standing by to answer our questions. I tell you, it's fine. I told him 4:15, so we're maybe a little early.
Okay.
That's okay. Did you watch any movies?
I watched one.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you watch?
I watched a 2019 Western called Never Grow Old. I found it on Amazon Prime, starring John Cusack and Emile Hirsch.
Okay, yeah, I've seen the cover for that.
Right. It's not a great movie. It's not terrible. Hirsch plays he's like an undertaker in a small town that has gotten rid of all the whiskey and like all the whores, and they're all kind of following this.
What kind
this
of town is that?
Right. That it has like a Christian following.
Right.
They've gotten rid of everything. And John Cusack's character, this guy named Dutch, is kind of like almost like a bounty hunter, maybe. And he was part of a gang, and he comes into town looking for a guy that ripped him off. And he comes to Hirsch's house, and he's like, "Look, man, I want you to take me to this guy's house." And Hirsch says, "Man, I haven't seen him in like a year." And he's like, "I don't care, take me over there." And the guy's wife and kids there, and basically he starts terrorizing people in the town. He buys what was the old saloon and reopens it. He brings in liquor and whiskey and whores, and suddenly the town kind of flips upside down. Sunday service, there's packed to the gills. The church is packed to the gills. A couple of Sundays later, there's like half as many people. They're all across the street at the bar drinking and whatever. It's an alright movie, man. It's not great. It's not like a classic Western, but it has some classic Western themes. Cusack and Hirsch are good. It's a little deeper and darker, especially towards the end, than I kind of thought, when I got into it. But I enjoyed it. It's like I say, it's a solid C. It's nothing great, but better than I thought it was going to be. So, if you like Westerns, you've never seen it, check it out.
It was his last film, wasn't it?
Who's that?
Amelia Hirsch's. I think
this was his first film.
Postal. Oh, it's his first film.
Since he got into an incident in 2015 where he choked out a lady executive by the name of Danielle Bernfeld. And I don't know if he had been doing anything since. If he has, I hadn't heard anything about it or knew anything about it. I was kind of curious why I hadn't seen him, because I always liked him. I always thought he was a really good actor, but somehow I missed the whole thing that happened in 2015. And then when I found this movie and looked it up a little bit, I came upon that story. So, interesting.
Did you watch any movies?
I did. I watched. There's a free movie service called, I think it's spelled TUBI, and there are ads in it, but there are tons of movies. Like
Right. Okay.
the film we reviewed a few months ago, Ninja and the Dragon's Den's on there, and I watched from 1995. I think the world's only armored werewolf movie called Project Metal Beast, where this guy's like a CIA agent. He kills this werewolf and takes some blood out of it, and they experiment on it, and he just injects himself with it, and then they have to murder him because he's turned into a werewolf. And so they freeze his body. Like 20 years later, they revive him to test out this like liquid sort of synthetic skin that is basically turns your skin into like metal. Because that's what you would want.
Right.
Is an armored werewolf.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And of course, he murdered, like Kim Delaney's in it, Barry Bostwick's in it. For like a movie like this, it has, Kane Hodder from Friday the 13th,
Right.
he plays the werewolf.
Oh, so he's the main baddie?
Yeah, And, but, if you think of a movie about an armored werewolf, it's that movie.
Right.
It's exactly what you think of.
Nice.
Ripping people's heads off and stuff. It's, kind of a 90s low-budget monster movie. And I hadn't seen it since high school,
Is that good?
It's pretty good. It's as good as a movie about an armored werewolf is going to be.
Right. Well,
it's not,
Lee's always the glass is always half full
I try to be.
when it comes to movies.
I try to be.
For sure.
Where I'm a little bit more stout where it comes to art versus entertainment.
Right.
I'm the art guy, whereas
Right.
Lee's the entertainment
Yeah.
guy. If you listen to the show, you know that. That's why Phantom Thread is spoken of.
Our running punchline.
Yeah,
Keeps rearing its ugly head.
And
It definitely keeps
I
rearing
watched
its
another
ugly
movie
head.
on that is not available at all. It has not been released since VHS.
Okay.
And I saw it on YouTube. Like I think they showed it on Cinemax Cinemax Action a few years ago. And somebody recorded it, and it's called Night of the Juggler. And it was produced by Arnold Copelson, he was a huge movie producer, and it was but basically James Brolin is like 1980. This is right after the Amityville Horror. His daughter gets kidnapped, and he just runs the entire movie. He's basically trying to find this guy who kidnapped his daughter. And it's a really I don't know why it's not available. Because basically it's like 1980 New York, where it looked like downtown Beirut on a bad day.
Right.
Like the Warriors. And it's a super cool movie. But he's, like I said, there's not 5 minutes of the movie where he's not just like kicking the hell out of somebody or just running.
Right.
And the guy, he's kidnapped this guy, his daughter, thinking it's a rich guy's daughter. And, James Brolin's like a truck driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but super cool movie that I'd never heard of before.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
It looks like our friend Clint is ready.
Outstanding.
Are we ready? We can skip mine. Real fast, I'll tell you what I watched. I watched arguably the best Western film ever made. Can you tell me which one that one might be? No, this is in AFI
The
standards.
Searchers?
Yes!
Right.
Very good. I watched The Searchers.
Yeah.
Arguably the best Western ever made. Arguably.
Yeah. We know what you mean, I think.
Yes. Sure. All right, let's give him a call here.
All right. You want to move it so you can see your face? Or?
Oh, he knows who I look.
Okay.
He knows what I look like. Yeah. There he is.
How's it going?
How we doing, Clint?
Fantastic.
Can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Okay, great. Great. I'm going to turn you up a little bit. So, Facebook Live is here. If you can see the cameras way out in the distance there. Green screen is pinned up. We appreciate you coming on the show with us today.
Thanks very much.
So, let me see. I'm going to get this turned up a little bit. So, I guess just introduce yourself to everybody out in podcast land who you are. I'm sure a lot of people who dig alternative films and independent films probably know who you are from The Quick and the Undead and films like that. So,
Yeah, well, my name is Clint Hummel. I'm originally from Iowa. I've been in LA for around 20 years doing this thing, getting work when I can as an actor, and that's about it. That's about my life.
well, we reviewed The Big Kill, man. I love it.
Fantastic.
I love it. It's funny. I know we discussed this already, but I'll act like we haven't discussed it. But I didn't realize when I watched it that it was your film.
Yeah, that's kind of the a lot of the feedback when I tell people to watch it. They expect me to be like Cowboy Number 2 and get shot by Lou Diamond Phillips, but it's just I happen to be that character that has to be in every scene. You know that I have the dialogue that kind of tells the story in a lot of the scenes, so I'm just kind of there. So I mean, it was a great opportunity for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you really you hit the ground running. I mean, your first scene, is your bare ass, which comes to one of my questions. And a lot of people don't like to talk about this, and obviously you don't have to, but. Yeah. You actually have a few sex scenes, or what? Not really sex scenes. What would you call them? I guess they're love-making scenes.
Wrestling?
Yeah, wrestling. You have a couple of scenes in this film. How nerve-wracking is that? I mean, especially in this day and age, is that something that is, how is that treated on set? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners would love to know how sex scenes are shot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting time when we shot this film, November, December of 2017, and that's when all the Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey stuff came out. So that was just kind of when all that was happening. So we were all really aware of that, and here we're on the set, and I have all these, these love scenes, and it was nerve-wracking to me, but what they did differently is I think they really closed down the sets a lot, and they always had like a female, producer or production designer was there. It was very respectful, the atmosphere. I thought, and always as an actor, as a guy, you have to go up to your actresses and you have to just talk about it and clear everything and just really be as respectful as possible.
Right.
I think that was the main thing that I had to do, and basically is I tried to keep it light with the actresses, and I think they appreciate that. I guess the idea is I never really acted like I was really into it.
Yeah.
I was just like, cut, okay, fine, and joke and laugh, and I was lucky. A lot of my scenes were kind of like rambunctious. We didn't really have to be passionate, so that kind of helped as well.
It helped keep more of a lighter tone.
It was a lighter tone,
right?
The scenes out there, but nonetheless, I was in various stages of undress, as you pointed out, and so were the actresses. So always, you never look down. You always make eye contact. You never
right.
Or you look up. Really, like seriously, I spent a lot of time just kind of looking up. Like I don't see anything. So.
So, how many days were you actually did it take to shoot the film? How many days were you on set?
I think in total about probably 25, 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Santa Fe for a good 6-7 weeks.
Okay.
So.
And there's a lot of action in the movie. Did you have to work with the stunt coordinator or anything, or with as regards to the firearms and the fights and everything?
We definitely had like full-on, very professional stunt people there. You training with weapons, horses. I did have a stunt double, which did a lot of the galloping work. The harder riding, which I can do the walking, the cantering, and the trotting, but I cannot do galloping. And
right.
That's a whole other level. That's It's like Formula One race car driving.
Oh, yeah.
It's so hard. So definitely had full. All the shots were live ammunition, not live ammunition, but live blanks. No CGI in it. So yeah, it was pretty hands on and pretty physically taxing. A lot of stuff we had to do for sure.
What about the falling out of the window? Was that?
That was a stunt double.
Oh man, come on! I was hoping.
Well, I mean, I got up to the roof. Then they cut to the stunt double, and he just basically did a fall onto some big mats.
Yeah.
And then I'm right next to the mats basically, and when he falls out of frame, I pop up in frame. So, kind of one of those deals.
That's great. So it filmed in Santa. That was one of my questions. Was where it was filmed. It was filmed in Santa Fe.
Yeah, Santa Fe, Bonanza Creek. It's a movie ranch, and a lot of other locations there. There was a film that just came out called The Kid, with that just was a lot of the same locations. Godless was shot out on a lot of those locations too.
Go ahead.
Hey, Clint, it's Doug, man. How are you?
Hi, Doug.
Nice to meet you. Or talk to you again. I think I spoke to you about 20 years ago in Los Angeles when Garrick was out there. My first question, what was the most difficult aspect or scene from The Big Kill for you personally?
Well, personally for me, I think working with a lot of working with your idols, like people that you grow up watching, I think was really difficult for me. Like my scenes with Lou Diamond Phillips, where I had to kind of confront him, that was pretty nerve-wracking for me, just as a personal level, just having to stand up to him and look him in the eye and say, to threaten him. It's like I'm looking at him like Chavez from Young Guns is going to kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no chance against these guys, And then also, we had a good scene with Jason Patric in church scene, and that was his first day on set. And he was at first his style is very serious. He's not joking around, talking to people. He's really into his character, and so the tone was set with that actor, with Jason Patric, and just to come and face him. The first time I ever met him was when I walked up and they called action. So that was pretty nerve-wracking too. Just working with your legends, people that you grew up watching, that just inside you're like you feel all these butterflies and nervousness, and it's pretty amazing to work with them.
Cool. Second question, what was your favorite scene, personal scene, from The Big Kill?
Well, for me, a lot of the stuff that I did, I kind of sometimes, not exactly the comic relief, but I have one line here and there. I never really had not too many of my scenes have like a nice arc or beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
I had a nice scene where I decided to stay with the Jim character in Big Kill, to stay and fight with him. So I had to. That was a scene where I had to, I needed something in the scene. I had an intention. I had a motivation. I had to convince my partner that it was right to stay in the scene. So that was my favorite, most rewarding scene, I think. And I felt I was the fullest. That was the most in character I was.
Yeah, it was
and
awesome.
Prepared as well for that scene.
I see you've kept the mustache. I love it.
I did.
Yeah, keep that.
Yeah.
So we got into the stunts. So this is a question. How did you get the film? Was it an audition or was it a referral?
Well, I had worked with the same director, writer, Scott Martin, on another film, on two other films. Two very smaller films. One was a World War II movie. The other one was a dragon movie. And so we had become very good friends. And so he'd always kept me in mind for this script. He actually wrote this script about 10 years ago. And he approached me with it, before he had Art Shown Pictures, which is a production company. And he had approached me with his character about 10 years ago. And he tried to get it produced. We, did table reads. acted out scenes. We actually shot some scenes in Arizona all 10 years ago trying to get this film off the ground, and it never really took off. You know, industry changes. 10 years later, he creates his own distribution a production company, and he gets funded, and he just about a month, maybe 3 weeks, 4 months before the shoot, he goes, "I did it. We're shooting the film." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So it was a pretty whirlwind situation. So, but yeah, I've been the production team had been aware of my work, and we become friends. And it was more of an offer, like, "Hey, you want to do this?" Other than an audition situation, which was good for me because I'd never been a good auditioner. It's always better when someone, "Hey, like, you want to be this?" Like, okay, great.
Oh yeah, that's it. Hey, that's how you and I met. We worked at the Olive Garden together, and then I said, "Hey, man, you want to do Soldier's Battle?"
Well, yeah, I remember that clearly. We were at work, and I think you had another actor drop out or something. I don't know, can't remember the. But you said, "You're an actor, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm an actor. I have a headshot, and I go to an acting class." And that was the extent of my acting experience. And you're like, "Cool, you're in." I'm like, "Okay."
Hey, it worked out.
Again, that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, amazingly enough. And then after that, we ventured into the basement of my apartment to do Jobbers, where you played Goth, which was, you know, the most classic, the flower.
That had to have been my favorite character I've ever played.
Oh, sure. Sure. It was definitely, we'd have a couple of beers and go down there and act crazy. You know what's funny is I remember getting a text from you and Jerry, which is a mutual friend of ours that I play D&D with when I go to Los Angeles, and he actually did a couple of films with Jerry, but I guess you guys had pulled out that movie and watched it one time just out of nowhere, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever. And I just remember getting a text saying, "Hey, we just watched Jobbers. It still has legs." And I remember it making my day, because that movie, despite, looking back going, well, I could have done that so much differently, with more experience. It really did teach me how to edit. That was.
Yeah, you probably had. I mean, how many 100 hours of footage? I mean, there's so much we did, and it's funny. We would shoot that movie on weekends, or it was almost like we would get together and have our own like LARPing. We were basically having LARP as wrestlers, because that was kind of when The Rock took off, and wrestling had made the comeback after it kind of. The Hulk Hogan days, it ebbed after that, and then it came back. So we would just, hey, let's get together and shoot some stuff of us being wrestlers. We had no idea it was going to be a movie. And I remember, I think 3/4 of the way through the shooting, I just decided to be done with it, because I think I got a girlfriend or something.
Yeah, probably.
And you wrote me out, because 3/4 through the film, I just like disappeared.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then we had you come back and do that interview where you're like, I have found a better life, and I wanted to get out. Yeah. Which was ironic for your character, considering you were the massive guy, you were the ticket seller, man, you were the ticket seller.
Yeah.
So hey, I know it looks like you're sweating profusely under your lights there.
Oh, you see it? Yeah. I got my fan on. It's hot here, and I just took a shower, so I don't know. After you get out of the shower, you know how sometimes you sweat, but I got my fan on. It's starting to. I'm not nervous. It's just hot here.
I know you're not nervous. Give us a good. I know we had talked. I know on our way to play D&D. Actually, when I was out there, you had given me a couple of good stories about whiskey drinking, and I mean, are you allowed to share those good stories from the set?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no drama. It's just, it's one of those situations where it's every, filmmaker, actor's dream, where you're in a remote location, there's nowhere to go, everyone is in the same hotel, Even the big stars, Lou Diamond, Jason Patric, Danny Trejo, they're all staying at this hotel, and it was the same hotel that they shot Young Guns. So Lou Diamond had some good stories about their adventures back then, and they would have this bar, and we would get together and play low stakes poker and dealer's choice type stuff, and we would play for quarters and dimes and pennies and stuff, and they were epic games, and they would join in like they're one of the guys, and they really we all got pretty tight, after a few nights of gambling, a few drinks, and it's just one of those dreams where you become a real like company after a while. So it was good.
That's awesome. Who did you get any pointers from any of those guys? I mean, did you like walk up to Jason and say, all right, give me your philosophy in 5 minutes?
For sure, yeah. Jason Patric, he was from the real East Coast school of method acting. He would like, after a while we started talking on set, and he'd be just like, it's just all about behavior. That's the word that he used a lot. Just behave in the situation. Don't act. Just behave. Just behave in a normal way. Because I have a tendency to want to play it up. Like overact. I think is my default setting, and I decided that my character Travis was going to be under the preacher's sway, under his hip. The preacher had a hypnotic effect on his henchman. Well, he was almost like a cult-like figure, and I was playing it. I decided to play it. No one told me to play it, as if Travis would have easily been put under the sway of the preacher if he hadn't had his stronger-minded partner. And I was just playing that in the scenes with him, and he noticed that. He's like, I see what you're doing. You're basically giving me the power. I wanted to make the preacher's character stronger, so in my scenes with him, I would never purposely make eye contact with him, or I would act weaker, just to give that character a little more power, and also to support my partner, Jake, who's the strong one, who is not afraid of the preacher at all. So I wanted to, be a true supporting actor and give those two the limelight, because if I acted like the hard ass, there can only be so many hard asses in a movie, you know what I mean? So that's one thing that he noticed, which I appreciated.
That's great. So what's next, man? What's the next big movie?
Well, I was hoping to get a call from you one of these days.
It's coming. The script is done. However, then you got to raise the money. Speaking of, actually, yeah, let me retort that. So how does, and this, I don't want this to sound as it just, so that lineup is very weird and strange. You got Danny Trejo for one day. You've got Jason Patric. You've got Lou Diamond Phillips. You've got, let's see, Christoph Sanders.
Yeah.
Those guys are the secondary characters. Is that a? I mean, they're the bad guys, but those are the guys that normally are the ones saving the universe. And whereas in this movie it was you that was saving the universe, is that a situation? A lot of Hollywood is doing it now, where they're bringing in less known actors to fill the roles, the head roles, and then they're using people like Jason Patric and Brad Pitt to be the backup roles. Is that a blueprint that's happening, or was that a money finance kind of thing?
I would say that's a matter of economics. This is not a small budget movie, but it's not a $40 million movie. You know what I mean? So when you're dealing in the millions, you can only get these guys, for a week, 2 weeks, In terms of Danny Trejo, I think he was like 2 days maybe, 1 day, 1 or 2 days of shooting. and they come in, they get a nice paycheck, and they're done. And I think that basically this was never really it did have a limited theatrical release, but it was makes its money on Netflix and iTunes, and it had a really big DVD release in Walmart.
Yeah, I've seen it at every store that sells DVDs. I see it there for sale.
A lot of those are the last real markets for DVDs are going to be like Walmart and places like that where people still buy DVDs. So you see them on the poster and you're like, oh, okay. But you can't, for what the budget was, you probably couldn't have those guys of that caliber. So I would think, and it's also, these guys are in the stage of their career where they can come in, work a couple weeks, get a nice payday, and they can, be on their way. Why would they want to be on a movie for 2 months? You know what I mean? At this point, where they can just come in and play their part. They're such pros, and I mean, watching Lou Diamond Phillips work, it was effortless. Just not one take, not one line couldn't be used. It's like just to see them. I mean, just see him and Jason Patric. Just every line, every take, every nuance is just perfect.
Okay. You talked about your relationship with the director. Did y'all during in pre-production and early production, did you reference films older films as inspiration, like old spaghetti westerns or anything like that?
For sure, I think the biggest inspiration for the film was definitely Silverado, Silverado tone. Also, of course, Tombstone. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of really close up. So and the color. I think the color is more like a 70s Western or a 60s Western. There's a lot of colorful. The color palette was greater. A lot of the Westerns I see today that come out, even the ones that hit straight to Netflix, they're very muted. They're afraid to put somebody in a crazy red outfit. You know what I mean? So.
We did notice that when we were discussing the film. We discussed that it felt like it was crazy. It felt like 1 minute it felt like Silverado, and then the next minute it felt like a spaghetti western. But the color palette was very. Doug said it was the cleanest western he'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it just looked good. It just looked fantastic, and the color palette was very wide, and there was a lot of variety.
When you think about if you picture the costumes and just the production design, I believe the two people that were in charge of those departments they had worked on Deadwood, so a lot of that texture and a lot of that depth with the costumes. Come from the work. Think about Deadwood, and just think about just all the texture on the costumes on Deadwood, and just, you'd see that in a lot of the stuff on Big Kill. So it made it look like a bigger budget film, I think.
Yeah,
it looked great.
It did. It looked great. Clint, I can't thank you enough for giving us some time today.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, it was my pleasure.
It was good talking to you. I'm gonna be out there in October. We're gonna have to play some D&D.
Absolutely, yeah. We still have a mission to complete.
Have you built any more temples?
I have not. No, I was a fine arts major, and I sculpt stuff, and I sculpted a giant temple.
Oh, it's incredible.
I have some pictures of it on my Instagram if you want to check it out.
What is your Instagram? Where can we find? Where can all the people that want to be a part of Clint Hummel's career? Where can they find you?
At Clintus Hummel on Instagram. At Clintus, Clint us like Clintus Maximus. At Clintus Hummel on Instagram.
Perfect.
I'm not really savvy with the social media that much, but that one I do enjoy. I do enjoy Instagram. It's very simple. You just put pictures. It's like that one I enjoy.
And you don't have to read all the political views and all the drama. Yeah. You can just look at a picture and be done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Clint, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Oh, the stand-up guy.
Awesome.
Yeah, very nice guy.
All right, so that was The Big Kill. That was my friend Clint Hummel's movie. We reviewed it. Great film. Tone, kind of a different tone to it. Has Jason Patric and Lou Diamond Phillips and Danny Trejo in it, although Danny Trejo is a very quick
Right. It's like a
scene.
cameo at the beginning.
A cameo at the beginning.
Right.
And like you said, it's this, for any film students, for anybody wanting to make a film like me, this right here is the perfect example of what you need to do. You put your main roles, you put newcomers or less knowns. Clint, who has been in movies, been in a lot of independent films, but he's he's not up there with Lou Diamond Phillips. But you put lesser known actors in the main characters, and then you bring in named guys like Lou Diamond Phillips and Jason Patric to do 2 or 3 days on your movie so that you can put them on the cover and you can raise the money. So if you can raise the money, if you could say, hey, I'm going to use Jason Patric and Danny Trejo in this movie, you're more likely to get the movie made.
Right. Well, I mean, filmmakers have done that forever. Like Donald Pleasant shot for a week on Halloween. You know, he was only there for 5 days, but he's throughout the entire movie. They just he shows up every 15 minutes, basically.
Absolutely.
But he was a big name actor at the time, so
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's definitely it works. It's definitely a system of filmmaking that works.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for that. Do we have any more announcements? We've got something else big coming up this week. I'm telling you, we are making our rounds.
Oh yeah,
We got stuff.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood comes out on Thursday, 4:00.
Yes, it does.
We are not going to make it to the movie to see it until Friday or Saturday, depending on our schedules. However, as soon as we watch it, we will be doing a show right after, reviewing the well-known and well-anticipated film, Quentin Tarantino's 9th film. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it. And Brad Pitt, yes.
Yep.
And none of that matters because Margot Robbie's in it as well.
Yeah.
Do we have some news?
Not much anything. I mean, they apparently Marvel's going to release 5 movies within the next 2 years.
Yeah, I saw those.
So I mean, and the internet hated most of them. But even though they'll all make $1 billion, so it really doesn't matter.
They're going to be fine.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Like all these people say I'll never watch that movie.
Right.
It's like Creed. At one time, Creed was the biggest band in the world, and now everybody thinks they suck. Those CDs went somewhere. Like somebody bought them.
Somebody did. It
Yeah.
wasn't me.
I was a Creed fan.
There you go.
Of course you are.
Of course. I was a Creed fan.
My brother and I were talking about that. We're talking about how you go on the internet and people something will have 500 dislikes, like a trailer.
Yeah.
It's like within 2 minutes, 500 thumbs down. It can't be that hated. It made $1 billion.
I noticed that on the Maverick.
Right.
Yeah. Like there were like 25 thumbs down. I'm like, come on, man.
Within
Really?
minutes of it
Why?
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like it shows up. It's 2 minutes long, and within a minute and a half,
Right.
you got dislikes.
I was talking to a buddy of mine. I said, people think it's like millions of people. It's not. It's a couple hundred guys, and they all retweet each other. So it seems like it's thousands of them hating on something. It really is just a small, dedicated group of assholes who just hate stuff. And if they all retweet each other, that's 2,000 comments or 2,000 tweets about something.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
News. Other news. Let me think.
Maverick, Top Gun.
Maverick. Yeah, we got
Yep.
Maverick. There's going to be 2 more Halloween movies.
Yep, 2 more. Yep.
John Carpenter basically came out and announced.
Right, they're going to shoot them back to back.
In Wilmington.
In Wilmington,
In Wilmington, North
hopefully.
Carolina.
Let's
Yep.
get on that project somehow.
Yeah.
There you go.
And what was the other thing I saw? Edward Furlong is
It's going to be John Connor.
Is coming back as John Connor. And,
Yeah.
And it's not without some discontent.
Well,
from,
I mean,
from some people.
have you seen him lately?
I've seen his mugshot quite a bit in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So that to me is kind of interesting.
Right. How? Yeah.
That they've decided to bring him back.
I mean, hey,
during the Me Too movement, who was
for continuity,
Right.
I
If it is a direct sequel to 2.
that's kind of what I
And some
understand.
personal trainer is going to make their money. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, because last time I saw him, he looked terrible.
Well, it's
Like,
it's interesting,
Right.
You know, and Cameron, who is producing this, came out and announced it, so he's obviously
Right. I'm sure he'll be fine. Like,
I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, it's I never hated on the kid.
No.
You know, I loved him in T2. I was like, I want to be this kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes.
Right.
I mean, it was in American History X.
Oh, yeah.
And he
I
was
think that was
fantastic.
probably the last thing.
Yeah, that was the last big thing he was in.
that I remember him
Yeah.
being in, and then it, you know, just a lot of trouble, and hopefully he's gotten his life together.
Right, I hope so. Yeah, hopefully so. A weird story that happened just the other day. One of my favorite Hong Kong movie actors, Simon Yam, was at he was giving some speech at some film festival, and a guy just walks up and stabs him in the stomach, like during the ceremony.
Whoa.
And he ended up grabbing the knife, and it cut his hand open. And apparently the guy's like just a paranoid schizophrenic. And, you know, Simon Yam was like, now he's had like 3 surgeries. But he's trying to get the guy into like a mental hospital, which apparently in China is a no-go. You know, because, you know, you have 1 billion people.
Yeah.
So, well, probably now more than 1 billion. But anyway, so just, I mean, like, I've probably own 20 movies that guy's in. You know, Hong Kong gangster movies. But yeah, just stand up there, giving a speech, and some dude walks up and sticks a knife in him.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's this world now.
Yep, that's
It's
it.
just this world. Thank goodness our door is locked, because somebody might stab us for this podcast.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. The fact that you haven't been stabbed yet is amazing.
I know, right? I know.
Well,
It's
he has
only
been
because
stabbed.
nobody knows where we're recording
That's
this.
true.
He has been stabbed. It
Yeah.
was by me.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but you had that coming.
yes. Oh,
that's great.
everything I've ever done, I have coming.
Right.
That is for sure. Yes. So, what do we have for next week? You got to hear. Hand me those.
What do we got?
So next week we're gonna do some more. We're gonna do some more westerns.
Yep.
We're on Appaloosa. Right?
Appaloosa.
Yep.
That will be-
2008?
Oh yeah, this is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And then right after that, the Grand Duel. So
Yep.
we're going backwards. We're going from the latest, greatest Western. Then Ed Harris is fantastic.
Yeah. This is more like almost like a John Wayne movie, like a classic Western.
classic
Appaloosa.
Western.
Yeah.
And then the Grand Duel.
Yeah.
And I guess that'll do it for the Big Kill live from Facebook.
That's it.
Thanks for coming out, everyone.
Hope everybody enjoyed it.
We will see you on Saturday or Sunday, depending on when I can get it cut to.
Yep. And the Big Kill is on Netflix right now. So if you have Netflix, you can watch it
Yes.
as soon as this show's over.
Good call. Yes, that's a good idea. Go check out my friend Clint Hummel.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine.
That fantastic mustache.
Oh yeah, he kind of looks like a young Lee Van Cleef in the movie. Like
He
like a
does.
more muscular Lee Van Cleef. You know.
Yes, he does.
He's a big dude. How tall is he?
He is 6'4".
Yeah,
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's probably the biggest dude on set.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can tell some scenes like
Yeah.
his partner, I could tell, was quite a bit shorter than him, and they had to kind of offset.
He was
I thought
always
about asking
behind
him
him.
about it, but I never did.
Yeah, might have been on some apple boxes.
Yeah,
He was,
for sure.
Well, and he was also standing behind him a lot. There was a
Yeah.
lot of scenes where
Yeah.
and you could tell because he was
Super nice guy. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, super
was,
nice guy.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
I'll support anything else he does pretty much forever.
Oh yeah.
Just because of that 10 minutes he gave us.
Yeah.
All right. Even if he does the Phantom Thread too.
Especially if he does the film.
Damn right. Damn right.
All right, folks. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Yep. This weekend.